Coming up on this episode of Inside the Epicenter.
You know, one of the challenges that come with mission work, I think sometimes we only talk about the triumphal kind of stories. You know, this community converted to Christ. A friend of mine, Ron Boyd McMillan, wrote a fabulous book a few years ago called Faith That Endures. And he kind of looked at a number of the historical Christian communities that have been extinguished. I mean, if you go to, you know, Asia Minor,
right,
all the churches of Revelation were in places that ultimately they were extinguished. And it's fascinating, he said, because there are certain elements that need to be in place in order for the Christian community to endure if persecution comes or it maintains. What are some of the things that you've seen? Maybe some of the situations where it hasn't all worked out.
Sure.
But those kinds of things that, you know, we need to be praying around and praying through.
Yeah, you know, one of the things we're seeing in where Christianity is vibrant in the Middle East is a reemergence of Christianity from Muslim roots. Indigenous historic Christianity is sort of a different phenomenon, and it's had a different set of challenges. It is so tied to a culture, and that's both its strength and its weakness, that when that culture can thrive and persist, then that Christian community does. We see in Egypt as the strongest indigenous ancient Christian culture in the Middle East. In other places where it has been tightly bound to a culture that has long since ceased to be alive, it's a problem. We've seen that in Iraq, the Assyrian church, where they're still using Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke. And certainly we don't want to see that go away, but when no one has spoken that for over 1,000 years, it's hard to have that message really understood and incarnated in the culture. And it becomes easier for that culture to become ghettoized, so that it becomes smaller and smaller, more under persecution and a sense of siege. And there's so many incentives given to that community to leave and to become a part of the Dar al-Islam, the House of Islam. And it's a very concerted effort to entice people to leave. So that's the challenge. What we're seeing in this reemergence of indigenous Christianity, new indigenous Christianity, is in the language of the people, in their heart language, within their own context. And for that reason, I'm optimistic that it has a real future.